All right. We are talking about the state of Millia. How is Millia doing in February 2022? So last time that I made a video about Millia, it was please buff Millia because she was struggling. I was kind of doomer. So let's talk about where Millia is. So again, I'm kind of holding off. I've been thinking about where I think all the characters are, like an actual kind of tier list. And we've gone a pretty interesting way. So I put please buff Millia. So what was really interesting about that is that when I was saying that I thought she was good, but let's see, people were like, she sucks. Then when I was like, she has some big weaknesses, even though I think she's okay, people are like, you're a down player. Very interesting. The good news for Millia players is there's hope. I will say though, I think she's in the lower group of characters. I don't think she's necessarily in the upper group, nor do I think she's a tournament relevant character. And what I mean is, if you're somebody who is competitive in this game, Millia should not be a matchup you have to prioritize to practice. So characters that you would have to really practice against would be like Leo, Ram, Eno, Kyle, Sol, Nago, like the characters like that, where like Millia is not in this group. Let me dispense the hopium. Once in a while, you might see on Twitter that I'm like, oh, Millia hopium, Millia hopium, Millia hopium. Why do I think there's Millia hopium? There's a few reasons. One thing that people say about Millia since the beginning, and probably the main reason, there's like two main reasons why people thought Millia was weak from the beginning. One is that she doesn't have like super abusable normals or like big disjoints like Mei or Nago. Two is that her damage output is not high. So the thing is though, she's a character that wins from mix-ups, so if she had a high damage output, that means if that she hits you like once, you would die like super fast because her mix-up is basically unreactable. But there's a couple of things that are giving me hope for this character in this version, because a lot of tier lists have been coming out since like January, and many people rate her actually as a bottom 3 character. In my opinion, I think I would split the characters into halves. I would have her as the bottom half. I don't really think she's like in the weakest character group, but probably like slightly above that. The things that give me hope for playing her and things that make me like keep going, but all right, like it's fine. So one is actually this. So it's Millia in positive. One of the main reasons is that she has a lot of good neutral tools in positive, and then her mix-up does more damage in positive, and she has unseeable mix. You know, she has like Bad Moon Haircar, Bad Moon Low, and stuff. She is hard to defend, and she's going to do more damage, and because you're using fast RC to confirm, you get the meter back. On top of that, too, she has something that you probably haven't seen too much, where when she has 50 meter, you can use the Mirage special move cancel to make it difficult for the opponent to defend Mirage. And if they pick the wrong thing, you do a lot of damage. And if you have positive on top of that, then the damage output for hitting them for mashing is like crazy. The main one that you may or may not have seen, it would be this. Right, so this is probably going to be around like 270 in positive, and if you have 100 meter, this is like nearing like 300. So for a character that's not supposed to do a lot of damage, it's actually a significant amount of damage, and this is a hit that you can realistically get. Like I get this hit in matches like a decent amount. So that's probably thing number one. Thing number two that gives me hopium actually comes from, I talked about it on stream a bunch, and it comes from like this type of sequencing where, okay, you hit him, and then so, oh, good job, Kyle. This type of sequencing, it's not bad, but it's a little bit jank. And I've kind of been thinking, like, why do people do this? And from thinking about it, I'm like, I think it's because I have been doing it and people have just been copying me. So I've been trying to think of new ways to do things in this situation to push her turn in a good way. And I think she does have good ways to do it. I'm going to keep experimenting here. I think this thing is probably one of the most important things. So if you go back to like this thing, so one of the reasons why this is so important is because Millia is generally considered to not do a lot of damage. That did a lot of damage, but that was no risk. And when you're using Mirage Pressure, you're generally ending on like attack level 4 moves. So you would have built risk anyway. If they choose to hold this, then know, damage goes up as risk goes up, right? These are well and good, but this is not going to happen that much. You need meter for this, and Millia is not good at building meter. I think one of the biggest issues she has in this version is it's a pretty honest port of Millia, right? Like, she has all her system flaws from before, and she has that aspect of her where she has a lot of things in neutral that's hard to react to, or you can't react to and stuff. The issue is, like, she can't enforce herself very easily because of things like this and this not having good risk return. As in, like, you have to use these moves have good special properties, but if you hit the opponent, you don't get good return for it. I feel like one of the ways this can be addressed is by straight up addressing how you sequence her offense more. Compared to other mix-up characters like Leo and stuff, she can't do her best mix-up situation into her best mix-up situation unless she has meter, and at a system level, she doesn't build meter very quickly. So this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I think if this gets solved, then I think she'll be in a pretty good spot for the rest of the version. I've been working on this quite a bit. So it's gotten to the point where, like, I feel pretty good about most matchups, but the issue with a lot of matchups is that even though she has the tools to fight them head to head, you have to select right more often because you have to use tools that don't have good return if you hit them. A lot of her slight disadvantage matchups all come from raw risk return. There's nothing actually wrong with Millia as far as the tools themselves. The tools do what they're supposed to do, but you just don't get return for using them. So matchups like Nago, Sol, Kyle, Mei, Zato, as an extension, Ino, Geo, Ram. So there's a lot of matchups, by the way, but all these matchups are made harder strictly from you have to use tools that don't have return, but if they hit you, they probably convert it into money. This doesn't talk about her actual disadvantage matchups, so like straight like, oh, these are bad, like you shouldn't play these, are Potemkin and Leo, and it's more than return. It's more than return. It's like other like tools versus tools, where like a bunch of these characters, tools versus tools, you're fine, but they just do more damage than you overall just because of conversion ability. So it's not even about Millia's damage. Like Millia's damage for this type of character is honestly fine too. Like again, like most of the times where she's top tier, she kills you in about 3 guesses. In an ideal situation, you kill the opponent in like 4 to 5 guesses, which is probably pretty fair. The main issue is like you're just getting hits you can't convert, or if you convert it, it's not like something meaningful that's scary for the opponent. So my main focus, outside of I've talked about it a lot, of me wanting to raise my personal level against a lot of characters in this game, is trying to sequence things a little bit better so that it's a little bit more ambiguous slash leads into a higher damage conversion that goes into original situation. It's probably one thing, and another thing is just refinement. As I said, another thing is just refinement. Overall, I think she's in a good place. I do think she's in the weaker group of the cast. I don't think she's a tournament relevant character. I don't think you can win a large major event with her, but outlook okay. Outlook okay. I'm not dooming. I think in like October, November, I was really dooming. I'm not dooming right now. I think she's in a okay place.